We're going to continue studying here in PACE 1122. This is a quick lesson as an overview and to clarify something on pages 11 through 16. You've already talked about pure matter, elements and solutions and compounds, but now we want to talk about heterogeneous. And heterogeneous matter means it has a different appearance. So mixtures, lots of different kinds of mixtures. I mean, you could pour milk over your Cheerios and you actually have a heterogeneous mix, all right? Different appearance in the different parts. Let's talk about colloids. Those are a little more unusual, and this PACE goes into it a little more in depth than you did back in your physical science course. Colloids often are a solid. We'll say dissolved. Technically it's not dissolved, but mixed in with a liquid. So muddy water, for instance. And if you've recently stirred it up, and it may sit there for quite a while and just look very muddy. That takes a long time for all of the dirt to settle out of it, and it's still not going to be pure, right? So that would be, so those particles, a lot of times those tiny particles of clay that are suspended in the water and make it look cloudy. Most lake water, if you've ever been to the lake, you know, to go swimming or fishing or kayaking, you'll notice that the water is not clear. It's not pure. There's stuff suspended in it. Maybe it's algae and other things. We would say that the fish and the seaweed floating around in the water, that would be a mixture. But when it's very tiny particles that you can't distinguish, but that they make the water somewhat cloudy, that would be a colloid. Now, here's an interesting one. We can have a liquid dissolved in a gas. So the air itself could be the thing that's dissolving, and water particles suspended in air are called, that's what we call fog, isn't it? If you've ever had the experience of flying up in an airplane and they fly through the clouds and you're looking out at this white billowy cloud, it really is just tiny particles of water suspended in the air. Smoke is another example. Been at had a fireplace, a fire going outside, you're burning wood, maybe at camp, and as that smoke is going in the air, there are some, maybe some sparks going up as well, but the smoke itself, very, very, very fine particles that get dissolved in the air. So that is another example of a colloid. They talk about what exactly makes up why colloids are suspended. And they talk about that there on page 16, some of the forces happening at the molecular level, and then some methods for separating out those particles. And those you are accountable for, they cover those pretty well in the PACE. I don't need to explain them. You can read them, think about them, outline them, and I think you'll do well in that section. All right, we'll come back and talk about atomic structure.